Hi, my name is Jason Martinez, and this presentation that I will be talking about and discussing is baseball and mental health. So, baseball and also the mental health side of it. In the first slide is how does baseball affect your mental health? One of the ways is not performing well every day. There's a lot of games in baseball. When you're in season, you're basically almost playing every day. Anywhere from you can play like 2 games a day, or if you're playing a weekend, you could be playing like 3 to 4 games within 2 days, and that takes a lot of toll on your body, and especially when you're not performing well, you can just get into a deep hole, just rethinking and trying to succeed when you're kind of stuck and you can't perform very well. And then that also leads into feeling overwhelmed, stressed, and anxiety, and also pressure. This game is dealt with pressure. You just have to overcome it and try not to think too much about it, because if you do, you won't be getting very far with this sport. And a third is recovering from injuries. There's been more and more injuries so far. A really common one is a torn labrum, which is Tommy John surgery, and a lot of pitchers usually get that. So the next slide is struggles in baseball. There's so many struggles in baseball, from people chirping because you're not performing well. So that kind of gets up in your mind, allowing negativity to get to you, especially when you're not doing the greatest. Being negative won't get you any further, and it'll probably just make you feel even more terrible about yourself, and then mentally not there and no confidence. And that happens when you're not succeeding again. Baseball is a game of failure. You're always going to fail. You're never going to be perfect. So always trying to stay positive is key. And this is a video of Jarren Duran, which is also shown in this image below. And he talks about his mental health that he was dealing with.
Jarren Duran pulled the trigger, and the gun clicked. Luckily, he's still alive. In case you missed it, Duran opens up in episode 4 of Netflix's The Clubhouse about his suicide attempt. He sat in a hotel room with a rifle and a single bullet. He pulled the trigger, the gun didn't fire. He took that as a sign that he was still meant to be here. We need to talk about mental health in sports because this stuff is real. Duran's story, it's not rare, it's just rarely told. I've seen teammates break down behind the scenes and then smile for cameras. Athletes carry way more than the fans will ever see. And Duran's courage, it might be the thing that helps the next guy speak up. Let's get into it. In 2022, Duran was struggling. 221 batting average, 645 OPS, defensive mistakes in center field. He got sent back down to AAA. At the time, nobody knew how deep that pain went. Then came episode 4 of The Clubhouse, titled Still Alive.
I was sitting in my room. I had my rifle and I had a bullet, and I pulled the trigger and the gun clicked, but nothing happened. To this day, I think God just didn't let me take my own life.
When the director asked if he didn't want to be in Boston or didn't want to be alive, Duran said,
Probably both. Yeah, probably both. That was a really tough time for me.
I played this game professionally, and I've been in those hotel rooms. You feel the pressure, the noise, the silence. It builds up, and sometimes it breaks people. In 2022, Duran was 25. trying to lock down a job in the show. He was thrown into center field at the highest level without AAA reps. There was a missed ball in Toronto, and inside the park grand slam, it went viral. Then came Kansas City. Duran shouted back at the fans in the stands. Verdugo had to hold him back. What did he say in the doc?
And I would think every day, like, I can't do this. I couldn't deal with telling myself how much I sucked every day. What they say to me, it's like I haven't told myself 10 times worse that in the mirror.
This is the side the fans don't see. They see an error, not a human being going home wondering if he belongs on Earth. That night in the hotel, Duran pulled the trigger. It clicked. He lived. And that became his turning point.
Obviously, you're here for a reason, so, like, let's be the way you want to be. Let's play the way you want to play, and let's, you know, just live the way I want to live.
He hadn't even told his parents the full story yet.
It's hard to see them get upset when I tell them, and it just makes me feel like a bad person. I don't want to burden other people with my problems.
So many athletes feel like this, like we can't ask for help, like we'll be judged or worse, benched. Duran said playing in Boston felt like being in the zoo.
We're like in this big old cage, like people are trying to like throw popcorn at you, like get a picture with you, get your attention. Sometimes some fans take it too serious. I feel like across the line when they start talking about like my mental health, call me weak. It just kind of triggered me when you start talking about like mental health.
Behind the scenes, players wrestle with failure, with fear, with loneliness, and there's no outlet. So you bury it. You smile until you can't anymore. Since that night, Duran's flipped the script. In 2024, he was named All-Star Game MVP, and before that game, I got to talk with him, and I love the maturity because he told me now when he goes through struggles, he leans more on his teammates and leans more on being excited about seeing them succeed and being more of a cheerleader in the dugout. You gotta love that aspect of how he's turned down negativity and now into positivity. He finished top 10 in the AL MVP voting, led MLB in doubles and triples, and was a Gold Glove finalist in center field. But more importantly, he found his voice. Before every game, he writes F 'em on one wrist and still alive on the other.
Because it's me telling my demons, like, you, like, you're not going to faze me. I'm still here and I'm still fighting.
Mental health in sports, it's no longer just a side conversation. We've seen Kevin Love, DeMar DeRozan, Simone Biles, and now Jaren Duran. These stories aren't weak. They're brave, and they're saving lives. Director Greg Whiteley said Duran felt a calling to speak up, especially for kids.
Trying to get it out there and let people know that they're not alone, you know. Even if I could just help one person, you know, it's meaningful. So I'm just trying to let people know that there's always hope and to make sure that they're reaching out.
That's what leadership looks like today. To Jaren, thank you for choosing to stay, for choosing to speak. To any athlete watching this who's hurting right now, you don't have to carry that alone. There's no weakness in asking for help. The strongest thing you can do might be saying, I'm not okay. Talk to a teammate, call a friend, reach out to someone. And if you're in a crisis, please call or text 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, or text TALK to 741-741 for the
So with that video, it was just talking about his mental health that he struggled with, and they filmed a documentary with the Boston Red Sox, and he's on that team, and that's how it kind of became a word. And he's helped many people and also athletes out ever since he came upon about his mental health. So that was really brave of him doing that, and has helped many athletes. The next slide is the mental challenges in life. Outside of baseball, obviously dealing with homesick. You move from your hometown for the first time. You're not gonna really be too comfortable for the first couple weeks. You kind of get homesick, and that's something athletes deal with. And then balancing academics and your social life along with your sport. You're always going to be busy with your sport every single day, and you still have school and your social life to live. So that will lead into the the next bullet is stress and anxiety. Many people deal with these two, especially being away from home, um, missing their parents or family, and then also family problems that they might have with them or either back home that they can't really do anything to help. And this is another video of Derek Jeter talking about um, him being homesick when he moved out of the house for the very first time.
This is American Family Insurance Ambassador Kathy Ireland welcoming you as we break through to dream fearlessly. Please welcome to Breakthrough, Mr. Derek Jeter. Welcome, Derek.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Derek, there's a legendary story about you being away from home the first time, being very homesick, and it was a time where you could either break down or break through. Can you share with us how you chose to break through?
I was drafted when I was 17. I left the day after my 18th birthday. And really the only time I've been away from home was when I went to see my grandparents in New Jersey.
Right.
So here I was going from Michigan down to Florida, Tampa, Florida, and struggling for the first time because I never really struggled before.
What was the struggle?
I got there and I was completely overmatched, playing against the best players in the world, and constant phone calls at night, crying every night, being away from home, homesick. But I didn't give up. I kept fighting, kept battling, and anytime I struggle from that point forward, I always just say to myself, well, it's not as bad as when I first started. So you need to experience success, but I think more importantly, you need to experience failure.
Right. So what would you say to a young person who is going through similar struggles and considering just giving it up?
Keep fighting. You have to have a short memory, and everyone's been there. And if they're telling you that they haven't, then it hasn't meant enough to them, and then that's only the truth.
Derek, Charlie shared with me.
So that was just Derek Jeter explaining how what happened when he was homesick and what he kind of did to overcome it, and just being around with your friends that you make in college, or also just being around your teammates will kind of get you out of that mind and will get you comfortable in your living situation wherever you are. And this slide is knowing the struggles of being an athlete. Failing is a part of your life. Obviously, playing a baseball, it's a game of failure. You're going to fail. Checking up on yourself. Every once in a while or every day, you should be checking up on yourself, asking yourself if you're okay or what you need to work on to be a better person and a better player. And then get help if necessary. If you're dealing with anything like the mental side of it, whatever it is that's bothering you, get help, either from a teammate, a staff member, or one of your coaches. They're all here to help you. And then one thing that I kind of go by is PMA, so positive mental attitude. One thing that you can control is your attitude. So always have a positive mental attitude that'll get you really far in life, and also being an athlete. And then control what you can control. So obviously, like, your attitude is something you can control. Don't be a screw up to someone, because you would not want that either. And then situations in the game of baseball. Knowing where to go with the ball at all times. There's so many scenarios in the game of baseball. Every single play is different. Do your role. You always have a role every single pitch. Your position, you always need to be somewhere after every pitch. And have confidence while playing the game, because if you don't have confidence, you're going to fail even more than you already are. And want the baseball. Always want the baseball. If you're playing scared, and the baseball comes to you, obviously you're going to make a big mistake and it's going to haunt you for the rest of the game. And you do not want that. And then another mental side of the game are injuries. Sitting out a season, of course, if you have a pretty bad injury. As myself, I had to get MCL surgery just last month, so I sat out this whole season. That really sucked. And then physical therapy is probably one of the most draining things that you can go through while being injured. Just the toll that it takes on your mental and also your body. Trying to recover as fast as you can, but sometimes you get stuck and you can't really do much about it. And then the mental health, which obviously I kind of talked about, but people go through hard times being injured, so they ended up falling in pretty bad holes, dealing with loneliness, especially back home or wherever they're staying, if it's a dorm or apartment, and it's just themselves. Dealing with an injury can cause loneliness. So always try to keep company with someone or talk to someone about it. That'll make you kind of feel comfortable. The last or this bottom picture was one of my infield coaches that messed up his leg pretty bad. He was one of my infield coaches about 5 years ago. He was from Chico and he played at Florida State, and he ended up getting hurt in the College World Series. That pretty much ended his whole baseball career because his knee or his leg wasn't the same after he recovered. So a lot of injuries can be career-ending injuries, which is never a good sign for someone that wants to continue with baseball. And this is all my works cited, the videos, and then also the books that I got information out of.